When you stop talking, karma starts working. There's a quiet kind of strength that comes when you decide to stop explaining yourself. When you stop defending your name. When you step away from the need to have the last word. Something shifts, not just in the dynamic between you and others, but within you. That silence, once filled with urgency and reaction, becomes a sacred space where something deeper begins to move. Karma starts working. You see, we're conditioned to respond, to speak up, to fight back. We're taught that silence means weakness. That if we don't clarify, defend, or retaliate, we'll be misunderstood, disrespected, or worse, forgotten. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Not out of cowardice, but out of wisdom, because not everything deserves your energy. And not everyone is worth your explanation. When you stop talking, the universe begins to listen. It's as if the forces that were tangled in noise can finally get to work. Call it karma, call it divine justice, call it the law of cause and effect. It doesn't matter what name you give it. What matters is the understanding that silence is not the absence of power, but the presence of restraint. And in restraint, karma is born. This is the kind of silence that heals, not hides. The kind that says, I don't need to prove anything to you. It's the silence of someone who has outgrown the need to be seen through other people's eyes. It's the silence that comes when you've finally realized that peace is more valuable than being right. We all reach a moment in life when we realize that words can only take us so far. That no matter how much we explain, how many texts we send, how passionately we plead our side of the story, some people will only hear what their ego allows. And trying to shout over someone's insecurity or judgment is a war you'll never win. That's when the silence becomes your sanctuary. There's a phrase that rings true here. The truth doesn't need defending. Let that sink in. When someone lies about you, betrays you, underestimates you, your first instinct might be to lash out, to set the record straight. But doing so often places you on the same level as those trying to drag you down. And the cost of defending your dignity to those who already chose to misunderstand you is far too high. It robs you of your peace, your time, your grace. But when you stop talking, when you take a step back instead of stepping into the chaos, something miraculous happens. People begin to show themselves. The truth begins to reveal itself without your interference. The lies lose oxygen. The games collapse under their own weight. Because without your reaction to fuel the drama, the narrative begins to die. That's karma at work. Not the revenge fantasy version that we see in movies, but the real kind, the quiet, poetic unfolding of truth without your hands needing to force it. It's hard, though, especially when you know you're right. Especially when your heart is screaming to be heard, to be believed. But real power isn't in being heard. It's in being centered, being rooted, being unshakable regardless of how loud the world gets. This kind of silence is not passive. It's intentional. It's an act of discipline. It's the moment you choose elevation over ego, peace over pride, and that choice shifts everything, not just externally, but internally. It frees you. Suddenly, you're not tangled in emotional knots over people who never saw your worth. You're not playing chess with petty minds. You're not wasting your breath trying to convince someone of a truth they're not ready to hear. You're free. And when you're free, you rise. Quietly. Consistently. Authentically. And that's when karma really begins its work, not as punishment, but as balance. The energy you once gave to defending yourself now gets redirected to building yourself. Growing, healing, creating, loving, living. And the people who once pulled you into their storm start to notice that you've become the storm's eye, calm, focused, untouchable. Because here's the truth about karma that no one talks about. It doesn't work on your timeline. It works on your growth. Karma is not some cosmic weapon you use to hurt those who hurt you. It's the force that refines you. That teaches you when to speak and when to stay silent. That rewards you not for revenge, but for restraint. And when people see you unbothered, when they see that you've moved on without bitterness, when they realize they can no longer reach you emotionally, that's when the echo of their actions finally hits them. Not because you pointed it out, but because they have no one left to argue with. Their reflection becomes the punishment. Your peace becomes your victory. It's in these quiet moments, these decision points between reaction and reflection, that your character is shaped. That you realize emotional maturity is not in saying everything you feel, but in choosing what's worth your breath. It's why the strongest people are often the quietest in the room. They've seen too much, felt too much, grown too much to waste time explaining their value. They understand that their silence speaks louder than their defense ever could. But don't confuse silence with indifference. It's not that they don't care, it's that they've learned what to care about. They've learned that self-respect is not loud. It doesn't need to be. It's the quiet assurance in your own heart that you've done the right thing, even if no one claps for it. Even if no one ever knows. So the next time someone tries to bait you into defending yourself, ask yourself this: is this worth my energy? Does this conversation move me closer to peace, or pull me further into chaos? Am I trying to prove something to someone, or am I trying to protect something within me? Because silence isn't weakness. It's a boundary. It's a shield. And most importantly, it's a signal to the universe that you trust it to handle what's beyond your control. And it will. One day. The same people who twisted your words, who mocked your silence, who thought your lack of response meant defeat, they'll feel it. Not because you retaliated, but because you didn't. Because you chose growth over gossip, grace over games, elevation over engagement. That's the moment karma starts whispering in the background. Now, it's my turn. So hold your silence not as a burden, but as a gift, a declaration of inner power. Let it do the work your words can't. Let it carve space for truth to rise on its own. Let it show the world that the loudest thing about you isn't your voice, it's your self-control. Because when you stop talking, karma doesn't just start working on others. It starts working through you.